So 2025 has honestly been an incredible year for music. I've said this thing like a billion times throughout all of my best albums of the year list, and especially the two other videos that I just made for best songs and honorable mentions. But seriously, this year was stacked with albums, some incredible albums, and it was really hard condensing it into a year-end list. I condensed it to around 50 albums, which I believe is even more than what I usually put out. But anyway, I'm going to be going over these albums. So the number 50 spot, we have EUSEXUA Afterglow by FKA Twigs. This is a good sequel. It's very ambient. It's very electronic. A little bit has less elements than the first album, but it's still good enough for what it is. At number 49, I have the short but sweet pop album Salvation by Rebecca Black. At number 48, I have Glockavelli by Key Glock. It's just pure southern trap, and he still makes it seem fresh and new. At number 47, I have Animaru by May Simons. This beautiful blend of English and Japanese lyrics infused with this very nice bossa nova instrumental production. It just really makes for this nice and lush personal connection, which I just absolutely adore. At number 46, I have The Pilot by Mavi. This is a good precursor project for what's apparently bound to happen in the future with the future installment that Mavi has. And yeah, it's short, sweet, simple, and honestly a banger. In number 45, I have Sankofa by Redville. Jazzy, lush, and probably his most compelling album to date. In number 44, I have From the Private Collection of Saba No ID by Saba and No ID. No ID's production still is stellar, and Saba's wordplay, man, did they just mesh perfectly in this album. It's a good tribute to just this jazz and hip-hop genre, and it's generally a must-listen. In number 43, I have Instant Holograms on Metal Film by Stereolab. This group still manages to sound fresh, while at the same time going back to that vintage style that got them in their first place, like using the sounds of dots and loops, borrowing those vintage elements from like the 60s or 70s. I don't know, it just feels timeless. In number 42, I have Don't Tap the Glass by Tyler, Creator. While short and at times lacking, I think for the most part, it's one hell of a ride. It's fun, it's catchy, quirky, addictive, and straight to the point. At number 41, I have Pinball 2 by Mike and Tony Seltzer. This duo is really underrated, and they generally work even better with the sequel project. At number 40, I have Rest in Bass by Che. I would say this is one of the best rockstar rage and anthem type albums that I've heard in recent memory. Definitely a good tribute album to notable rage albums like Whole Lotta Red. At number 39, I have Live, Laugh, Love by Earl Sweatshirt. It's a very nice, mature, short and sweet album of Earl reflecting of him coming to terms with fatherhood and the ambitions that he wants to have once he gets older. Number 38, I have Dangerous Summer by Yeet. Quick, sporadic, in-your-face rage music that it just blows the speakers out of your system. At number 37, I have Luminescent Creatures by Ichiko Aoba. Sweet, relaxing, tranquil. This is the best adjectives I can use to describe this thing. Really holds a torch to Ichiko Aoba's last album, Windswept Adan. It's almost the same. Well, it's not the same thing, but it's similar to it. Just very relaxing. You just don't have to think that much. You're just kind of like in a whole different level, a whole different plane in the universe. That's just how tranquil it seems. At number 36, I have Getting Killed by Geese. It's batshit insanity. The lyrics are absolutely funny. It just like, you can tell they had a lot of fun creating this record. The instrumentals are wonking over the place, and I love the lead singer's voice, especially with the voice cracks that he has occasionally. At number 35, I have Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party by Hayley Williams. Really interesting solo project from Hayley here. I thought it was gonna borrow more elements from her usual activity with Paramore, but if anything, she really puts her own colors, her own palette in here, and it just sounds fresh and refined. It has pop, indie rock, gospel music, which that one gospel song was genuinely incredible. I think it's True Believer, generally a really, really beautiful and well-written song. But yeah, it just has so many moments in here where you can just feel Hayley's creativity. You can tell that she really has her own voice inside of Paramore. Number 34, I have the Lazarus soundtrack, specifically the side where Kamasi Washington produced it. Again, I was blown away by Vortex, and listening to the other tracks in this album really mesh in well together. It reminds me of the jazzy and nice and at times sporadic undertones that you would hear on a Miles Davis album. At number 33, I have Son of Spurgey by Daniel Caesar. This is generally his most well-rounded project to date. Yes, I'm taking it over Fruitian or the other albums that he's released. It's just like very complete and very compact. His songwriting is top-notch in here, and I think the way this is produced and mixed and put together just feels absolutely angelic and beautiful. At number 32, I have Music by Playboi Carti. This is one of the messiest projects of this entire year, but somehow it manages to work. There's a lot of great moments sprinkled throughout the track list. It's supposed to give off these like mixtape vibes, which explains why it's over the place. But if you can get over the layer or the barricade of just how disorganized this album is, you will really find a lot of bangers and bops that you will just have 24/7 on rotation. At number 31, I have Showbiz by Mike. While I wasn't blown away by this album as much as I was Burning Desires, this is a great Mike album, a little bit messy at times, but I feel that even with the messiness, there's a little bit of personality, which kind of like leads you to just understand Mike's creative attempt and his effort in this album. At number 30, I have the album by Billy Woods. I won't say it because it's apparently a slur. I just realized that not that long ago. But this album is extremely dark and personal. Billy Woods essentially talking over about his PTSD, how these little moments that might not seem super big to other people mean the world to him. It just brings him back to a very depressing moment of his life, very tumultuous, crazy moment of his life. And I feel that those moments of PTSD are very relatable. It just shows so much vulnerability, and I think this is one of his best well-written projects to date. At number 29, I have God Does Like Ugly by JID. This is a great album, a great follow-up to the Forever Story. I think tracks like Community are extremely well written. There's a handful of songs in here that are very well polished and structured. I still think this album is great within itself, especially what JID is offering. He combines these lush elements of R&B, hip-hop, and trap in a way that, while at times can be a little bit choppy, it just works for the most part. At number 28, I have Cancionera by Natalia Lafourcade. I was a huge fan de Toda la Flore, phenomenal album, and this album is a great addition to that as well. While it's a little bit too long at times, and I feel that some songs could have been a bit better polished, I generally think that it really has some enchanting moments. The Cancionera song, I believe, is a self-titled song. It's just beautiful and gorgeous. It's really like, it has this huge strings and melodies. It's very personal. There's a lot of moments in here where it's very visceral, trying to go more into that acoustic route, not necessarily going the jazzy route de Toda la Flore. And I feel that it's very, I guess, in line with her roots and her origins. At number 27, I have Only Dust Remains by Backwash. Explosive, dark, and extremely personal, similar to the Billy Woods album. This album highlights the huge, I guess, undergoing issues that trans people face when trying to integrate themselves into society, feeling like they're outliers, feeling like they're just casted away, the absolute anger and despair that they feel when being just thrown away to the side like they aren't human. I feel like it's something very visceral, very emotional, and something very unfortunate. You can hear her anger during the entire album, and it's just something that's just absolutely special and out of this world at times. At number 26, I have Tranquilizer by 1H Point Never. Hopefully I said that thing correctly. But yeah, this album, the textures, the soundscapes, mind-blowing generally. It just synchronizes itself so well. It's like you're doing LSD without doing LSD, if that makes any sense, honestly. It's glitchy, it's ambient, it's relaxing. It just has so many things going on with it. And it just puts a huge smile to my face because, like, at the back of my head, I'm like, this is what electronic music can do. This is, like, one of the powers that it has. It can go super far. And again, the mixing, top-notch in here. The panning and stereo mixing, it just feels something straight out of like a soundtrack, which I know he does soundtracks, but this thing generally was top notch. At number 25, I have Stardust by Danny Brown. This really was the album that I wanted after Quaranta. I feel like Quaranta had a lot of heavy and personal baggage going on. While it is a great album, I really do enjoy it, much more than a lot of people apparently. I feel that his next album needed to be something lighter in terms of subject matter and probably focusing a little bit more on the aesthetics and sounds. And Stardust does exactly that. It's poppier, it's like hyper pop, it's glitchy. Danny feels like he's constantly having fun, while there are at points where he goes a little bit more personal about his addiction, suicidal tendencies, the way he was trying to evolve with each album, depression. It's a very nice, almost feels like there's like anthems sprinkled around here, catchy album. And you could tell that he really was excited to work with every single person listed in the credits or in the features here. Like, this is something that he really wanted to do for years. At number 24, I have Forever How Long by Black Country New Road. Great songwriting, great instrumentation, and it proves that Black Country New Road can still move along without its lead singer. At number 23, I have Vanisher Horizon Scraper by Quadeca. Cinematic, beautiful, extravagant, lush, and just like the whole world was like on his shoulders. This is what I really want to describe Quadeca's album. You can tell he wanted this thing to be the best thing he could possibly done, and in some ways I think he does succeed. Generally, it's a beautiful experience throughout. God Sing is a damn near masterpiece, honestly. It's a great and super layered song. The intro was incredible too. The song with Danny Brown. There's a lot of moments in here. Even the outro track with Maruja, I believe, was very well polished. But yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces going on here that's just absolutely stunning to listen to. I know there's even a movie accompanied to it. But yeah, you can just tell that Quadeca put a lot of effort in this album, and it really paid off. So for number 22, I have Sinister Griff by Panda Bear. It's a very melancholy and personal album in terms of its subject matter, but I think in terms of its sound and style, it just feels very breezy and just very like acceptable. If anything, it feels accessible. It feels like Panda Bear's trying to like kind of open his like arms around you, like he's trying to hug you or something with this music. It feels like nice and polite in a way. I know it sounds weird the way I'm describing it, but it's just like such an oxymoron when you like read the lyrics and you just listen to music itself. It's like, why does it sound so cheery and so nice, yet the lyrics are super deep? And I think it's a great combination. At number 21, I have Ego Trip by John Michelle and Anthony James. It's a great collab project, rapper and producer. Rapper being John Mitchell and producer I think being Anthony James. A really great just bond between each other. The way it seems that they just know how to communicate is just very nice. The production, the jazz production with hip hop is just very nice in terms of Anthony James. And John Mitchell's bars are just fire, fire, and fire. Man can flow his ass off an entire record. At number 20, I have Rebel by SD Kid, one of the loudest voices right now of this decade. Very surprising. I think this is his debut record. He barely has any singles out at 2, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, for a short, brief, I think 20-ish minute runtime, Rebel really packs one hell of a punch. For Ross, an incredible opener, and it keeps on getting better and better and better. At number 19, I have Infinite by Mobb Deep. This album is a perfect example of when you get older, you just get better, honestly, because Havoc's production still sounds super clean and gritty and nasty as it was with the Infamous and their older material. And even Prodigy's posthumous verses sound clean despite it probably being recorded probably a decade ago. I mean, it's generally just incredible to see that despite him passing away, this album still feels like he's still here with us. A very interesting mix with that. And yeah, the features in here are just excellent. Really understand what they're doing within this album. Feels really like a tribute album to Prodigy, and it just works in a lot of great ways. At number 18, I have Balloonerism by Mac Miller. It's a very deep and sort of a self-reflective record, but was recorded during the times of Faces. I was very surprised that they released this thing now, given that it was leaked a couple of years back. But it's just Mac Miller at one of his most vulnerable states, and I think the production is very nice and dreamy. And it just feels like you're in a psychedelic journey while Mac is sort of reflecting on his life before his death. Number 17, I have Fancy That by PinkPantheress. Nice, catchy, super addictive, sugary vibes all through and through. It's a very short and brief listen. Her albums or EPs are usually like that, but I think in this case, it doesn't feel like it goes too quickly. If anything, it just feels like I just want to rewind this thing over and over and over. And number 16, I have Lotus by Little Simz. Little Simz is generally an incredible rapper from the UK. She's been on fire. I think this is like her 4th album this decade or 3rd album this decade. regardless, she's been killing it in terms of her albums and stuff. I've been following her since Gray Area back in 2019, I believe it was. And yeah, generally, Lotus is a great self-reflective record where she's dealing with the issues of betrayal, I believe kind of addressing the drama that she had with Cleo Sol, if I'm not mistaken, who she was a huge close friend with, and they made a lot of great music together. And apparently something happened that I think it's something about like a contractor deal that happened that she kind of got screwed over with her splits. And the producer that was like Cleo Sol's boyfriend screwed her over too. It was kind of a huge mess. But I think some of the themes and topics of this album is about betrayal, trying to heal beyond that. At number 15, I have Lux by ROSALÍA. This is her most maximalist project to date. She said that I think Motomami is minimalist and Lux is supposed to be a maximalist record. And I personally feel this album works in a way that doesn't come out as snobbish. I feel that a lot of maximalist albums tend to kind of get lost a little bit too much in the sauce, to the point that the production does all the work and the artist doesn't do enough to, I guess, carry or lead on the album itself and make it memorable. But with Lux, ROSALÍA really is the star, the front and center star. She sings in like I think 10 or 13 different languages, which is absolutely insane. And her voice is just absolutely trained. You can hear it. It's opera trained. At number 14, I have Through the Wall by Rochelle Jordan. It's a nice, simple, kind of basic dance / club album. It's not really a complex album as much as their previous number placements. But it's an album that just gives you one hell of a vibe. Like literally, when you play the first track, you just don't want to stop listening to this album. Banger after banger after banger after banger. Kind of reminded me of Raven by Clair. But this one is a little bit more straight to the point. Generally, just catchy, addictive. Again, simple, straight to the point, and just really one hell of a vibe. At number 13, I have HYPERYOUTH by Joey Balance and Brae. Similar to our number 14th placement. It's another fun, addictive, and just don't even think too much about the lyrics type of album. While there are moments in here that are very personal, it's kind of them reflecting on the past when they were younger. Then they even talk about like when they were like playing Xbox and stuff, and kind of looking back at it now, it's like now they're adults, and now they're supposed to be getting a bit more serious with their lives, which is very interesting. But overall, their characters and their personas are still intact with this album. Fun, they're goofy, they're eccentric, they're explosive, loud, really non-apologetic, and it just makes for this absolutely enjoyable and bubbly experience. At number 12, I have The Sword and the Soaring by Navy Blue. Navy Blue is honestly just one of the best writers of this generation. There's something about the way that he can elegantly just convey a message. It just sounds like he's like reading off a haiku, the way it's organized, the way his lyrics and his words have so much emotional weight and baggage. And I feel that with this album, it feels like he's like in the top of a mountain. Like he literally just reached nirvana in terms of how peace and tranquil the entire sound aesthetic is of this album. It feels smooth, it feels reflective, feels relaxing, and it feels that he just kind of like reached his point in life. Like generally from beginning to end, this feels like a dream, a beautiful dream sequence. And really, the way Navy just talks and raps about his life, his family, his ambitions, his aspiration feels absolutely motivational and something that you would want to pursue too. At number 11, I have Black British Music 2025 by Jim Legxacy, if I'm not mistaken. What a great album, honestly. Like, the UK was on fire. They've been here a handful of times in terms of hip-hop too. But yeah, this album is creative, fun, short, and just offers a lot of character. I love the singles for this album. Again, Father in that one song that samples Ever Since the Rain came. Like, you probably heard this song before. But there's a lot of like creativity. I think the way Jim samples stuff and the way he integrates it in this album is fun and creative. And just, again, it just like shows so much room for potential. And I feel that the way he uses those sounds in this album really contextualizes who he is as an artist. Like, he's someone who wants to be out there. He wants to be just something that people can just kind of listen to and vibe to. Because there's so many different genres in here, from hip-hop to alt to indie music to rock to pop to R&B to I think even reggae or Afro beats. He really wants to do it all. And for a first album, well, not first album, but one, for an album like this, it does a lot very well. And number 10, I have Pain to Power by Maruja. This album is a great social commentary on how the world is right now, with ongoing genocides going on, wars, strife, humiliation. There's just so many things going on right now, and I feel that this album really reflects onto what's going on right now and brings into attention that this is like an absolute hellhole right now. The track Look Down on Us, the way Maruja conveys, the absolute disturbing future, or just absolute like present really, of how the rich eat the poor and how they extort the resources and don't leave anything else for the society to basically like survive on. It's just very disturbing, and I think the entire sound is like chaotic but very creative. Like the way it's just put together, I know it's supposed to be like jazz punk and rock and indie and a lot of different elements to it, but the lead singer's voice, absolutely beautiful, chaotic, knows when to use his register correctly, and the instrumentation and production is nothing less but stellar. At number 9, I have Private Music by Deftones. It doesn't matter if they keep on recycling the same formula, it's always going to hit, and Private Music is just an absolute confirmation of this. Even though this is something that I've heard before, it still feels something like fresh for some reason. It still hits. It's distorted. It's loud. It's unapologetic. The band still has it. There's so many songs in here that it's like it can really rival some songs from even their best works. Like, it's generally insane how creative yet samey it can feel like. It's generally one hell of an experience, and I just confirms that I need more Deftones in my life. At number 8, I have EUSEXUA by FKA Twigs. I feel this is probably one of her easier albums to comprehend, and probably her best album, potentially. I'm not entirely sure about that one, but it's a great album overall. It's layered, it's structured correctly. You could really tell what she wanted to do with this album. Her vision is absolutely point clear. It's an electronic pop album that has so many things going on. It's very experimental, industrial-esque. It can really go all over the place, but in a very good way. And it has so many moving parts that I thought it was going to fail for like the second half. But if anything, the second half, it just got even deeper and deeper and deeper. That just made the entire listening experience even better than what it was originally. Like, generally, FKA Twigs really outdid herself on this album, and it's just an absolutely beautiful tribute to the electronic genre. And number 7, I have Clair Obscur Expedition 33 original soundtrack by Lorien, Testard. A beautiful, beautiful OST from start to finish that is going to start with you crying and end with you crying even more. Generally, there's so many highlights in here that I just can't talk about it all in this video because it'll be like a freaking 30-hour video. But as I said in my best songs list, Alicia is like probably my favorite song of this entire album. The way it just waves, like goes into the main menu to then the end credit scene, and how it recontextualizes meaning, and other moments in this album that are dramatic, suspenseful, or quiet, somber, emotional. Like it proves the point that, a language barrier isn't, like, it doesn't really matter, because in the end it's about the emotional aspects that it can convey. And this album conveys so many emotions, despite me not knowing that much French. It's still something that anybody can feel personally, despite them not even understanding the language. And again, it just shows that video game music should be taken very seriously, because this right here should have been Grammy nominated. I don't know how it isn't. It is one hell of an OST. And number 6, I have Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd. It's a grandiose finale for the Weeknd persona. I believe Abel is going to keep on making music, but under his real name. But for the Weeknd character, apparently this is supposed to be the finale. And this is how you end a character. Really, I mean, this is a perfect ending to his gargantuan career. And it just pays tribute and homage to his best moments in his entire career, while also wrapping up nicely the new trilogy he created this decade. It's layered with electronic parts. It has production from Justice, I think Giorgio Moroder, Mike Dean. It just has so many things. I think even Metro Boomin. I might be tripping, but I think Metro Boomin too. It just has so many producers stacked in here. You can tell that he wanted this thing to be a grand finale. and it, for the most part, it works like absolutely perfectly. Generally just works so damn well. At number 5, I have Debí Tirar Más Fotos by Bad Bunny. It's probably his best written project to date. There's just so much like personal moments and elements thrown in here. You can tell this was made by you can tell this album was made for the Puerto Ricans, and also like really for anybody, but if you're Puerto Rican, you'll probably get it even more. Personally, like there were so many moments in here where I kind of smiled or even like got teary-eyed because I understood those references. And the way that Bad Bunny, I think, brings up the point at times of gentrification, the dangers of losing your culture, how it's important to essentially like conserve your culture and make sure that it never dies out and fades out, and remembering the elements that makes the culture what it is something so emotionally like poignant and sharp that I feel that an artist like him really is the perfect voice for Latinos, for Puerto Ricans as well. Just the way he does it, it's just a beautiful homage that I feel that more artists should do. At number 4, I have Revengeseekerz by Jane Remover. This album is glitchy, chaotic, destructive, and it's really what I want more Rage albums to do. It's unapologetically loud, distorted, blows your speakers away basically, and I just love Jane's just absolute like performance and the way they feel like they want to just do even more than what they're doing. Like there are moments in here where it feels like someone is spamming like a soundboard, but in a way that it's just like organized and creative, not in a way that it's just absolutely annoying. It makes a lot of sense, and I feel like Jane is just one of the best creative minds of the genre. Number 3, I have Magic Alive by McKinley Dixon. I loved his last album back in 2023. There's a lot of soul, a lot of jazzy elements thrown in there, and it was a very personal, well-written, and thought-out album that really gave me goosebumps, and Magic Alive gave me even more goosebumps than that first album. Generally, it's just creative, even more lush than that previous album, and expands on those topics even further. Like there's so many triumphant moments where McKinley's messaging of, you know, despite going through very tumultuous and insane moments in your life, there's always going to be a glimmer of hope in the end, and you should never give up. It's just something absolutely motivational, and something that an artist like Dixon is really the voice that I want to hear when delivering those messages. And it's really emotional when you know, the way this album ends with you know, him rapping with Blue, and the way that he is saying that he idolizes Blue, and Blue was like his favorite or most influential rapper to start this thing. It's just kind of beautiful, honestly, the way he's like, he basically met his favorite rapper, like basically his icon and idol, which is a very cool way to end the album and just show how far he's progressed through his career. At number 2, Alfredo 2 by Freddie, Gibbs, and The Alchemist. This is a collab album that I never knew was going to get a sequel, but it did. I mean, Alfredo 1, my favorite hip-hop album for 2020. Didn't even know it was going to get better. I didn't even know it was going to be a sequel, and they did it, and it was actually better than the first part. I think everything in here flows in together so perfectly. Even the moments that are not super blown away by just mesh in so well that I just kind of give it a pass. Like, the beats in here are just perfect overall. The Alchemist just can never give me a boring beat when he's making music with Freddie Gibbs. It's lush. It feels exotic. It feels mature. Kind of feels like you're like in a jazz bar or something. You're hearing Freddie Gibbs perform. For some reason, this album still makes it feel fresh. It sounds fresh for some reason, but despite it already being something we've heard 1,000 times. If anything, it just shows that when you have the right producer and the right style and sound, the lyrics can never get boring. So for my number 1 spot, my favorite album of the year, I have to give it to Let God Sort Him Out by Clipse. I feel like Clipse really brought the heat this year. I mean, like, this album was absolutely mind-blowing from start to finish. There's so many bangers, so many moments. The way they utilized the features had like a core and integral purpose. And despite the feature list already being revealed and stuff, it still felt like a surprise. Like, it was like, oh, how are they going to use this artist in this song? And hey, they delivered. This is like generally a dream that a Clipse fan would have. And when I first heard this record, I was like, huh, it's good, but I don't know, I got to give it maybe a second shot. Then I heard it a second time, completely different record. It was damn near flawless in my opinion, and it still is. Generally, there's just so many moments. Pharrell's production is great. It's thick. It's really well put together. It seems that he can never lose his style in terms of production. And Pusha T and Malice really go hand to hand. They are generally just made for each other in terms of rapping, and you can tell these guys have so much passion for the craft, and they really set things straight with this album and in terms of the genre. Like, albums like this is what I want to hear more in hip-hop. Competitiveness, aggressiveness, assertiveness. This is really what we need. And again, this proves that duos that have been around the game for decades and decades and decades can never falter to the concept of ageism. If anything, they get better and better and better. But yeah, that was all I had to say. Let me know what you guys think for the best albums of 2025. Would love to hear your list. Please leave a like and subscribe to notification bell honestly miss an upload for me if you really enjoyed this video. And yeah, peace out everybody, and listen to the albums.